No? All right.
It must be Sunday.
It must be Sunday.
There's a movie years ago called If This Is Tuesday, It Must Be Belgium, about people taking a rapid.
And for us, this must be Sunday.
This must be Sunday.
This must be the Sunday. Oh, and what a Sunday. All right.
Why don't you tell the boys and girls what you and your husband did last night?
Well, first, let's let everybody join us.
Well, okay.
Well, first, let's let everybody join us, and then I will very happily share.
I didn't mean to be in a hurry. We're in no hurry.
No. First step, we have to make sure everything's working.
Okay.
Because internet.
Yes.
And then, let's see. Come on, internet. I believe in you. I don't believe in you. I'll be honest. The internet's been real tricky as of late. And man, oh man, does it like to screw up. The internet went out here the other day. Then the DirecTV went out. And it's one of those things my mom and I say, talk about like first world problems, but when all you want to do is just sort of relax and take it easy and all the technology goes, nah, like, please internet, please everything, just work a little bit so I can just take it easy today. All right. It would appear that we are working.
Okay.
So hooray for those things.
Mommy and I went to a dinner party.
You did.
On a Friday.
You wild people.
And it's not that we've been hermits exactly, but we haven't been going out much.
No.
And this is a nice dinner at a nice restaurant, so we want to look decent. And we both were so uptight getting dressed and, primping. And it's just we're out of the habit, out of the rhythm of doing that.
Yes.
Where you don't have to think about what shoes. No, there are my shoes right there.
Yeah. These are the shoes I wear.
Yeah.
This is the shirt I wear.
Yeah.
This is what I do. No, it's funny, but it's true. Now we've joked a bit, but I will tell you the toughest thing for Leonard coming out of all of this quarantine craziness is wearing pants.
Yep.
It's just the truth. It's just the truth. Now when something's going on, my husband will yell up and say, Leonard, there are people in the house, put on pants. And
I do.
He generally does.
To my credit, I do.
You do. You don't tend to fight it, which I appreciate. A friend of ours, her dad was in town and we were going to have them over to see. And I sent him a text. I said, hey, just so you know, friend's coming over. And he wrote back to me, that just says pants. Not wrong. Not wrong. It does mean pants.
Yep. Difference between that day and any other given day.
Pants. But yeah, so what we did last night, my husband's favorite band is called Rise Against. Very angry. Actually, no, compared to some of what he listens to, barely angry. My husband does like some pretty hardcore metal. Mm-hmm. I love him anyway. I listen to anything. I listen to absolutely everything that exists. For me, it's the quote that gets attributed to multiple people, but there's only two kinds of music, good and bad. Mm-hmm. I like good music. But this band Rise Against is really good. And, but I was terrified of going to a gig. The only reason that we even thought about it was it's outside, it's an outdoor venue. So, well, I guess that's okay. Deal with it.
Seated or standing? Well,
we got tickets for the pit. This pregnant lady got tickets for the pit. No, we've had the tickets for a while, but now a pit.
Yes.
Father.
To elaborate.
Basically no seats. It's the front, right in front of the stage. And in the case
what used to be called at one time a mosh pit?
It's the shortened version. Yes, this is where a mosh pit takes place. I have not shown you videos from last night yet.
No.
Because there was some very active pitting going on.
Or moshing?
There was some active moshing as well. Mm-hmm. But yeah, so three bands played.
See how I keep up with things?
You're so hip.
I'm so with it.
You're so hip. Three bands played. The middle bit was a group called The Messengers, and then Descendants, who are like an old school punk band. And they were great. and then Rise Against was last.
I didn't know there's such a thing as old school punk.
As in they were early. They are punk from early days.
Okay.
And so that is where the mosh pitting took place mostly.
It's all a matter of perspective, folks.
Yes.
All a matter of perspective.
Well, I mean, they've been around for probably 20 or 30 years.
Yeah.
That's a solid amount of time.
It is.
But yeah, and then Rise Against played, and they were fantastic. And I have to say, to all of you who may have never been to a punk or metal show, something that I think both of my parents have learned from me having friends that look like all sorts. I have your, let's call it normal looking friends.
Mm-hmm.
Normal. I have some friends that look a little bit, let's call it alternative. You know?
A lovely euphemism.
Thank you. It is the term they use.
Yeah.
It is the term they use. So Ben says it always disturbs me when Leonard uses terms like I think mosh pit and punk. Yes, Leonard, not huge into that scene, but you know. But what I will tell you is the nicest friends I have, and you will agree,
look radical.
Look a little different.
Yep.
My personal theory when it comes to this is that people who express themselves are generally happier. It's something I believe. I think that, and mind you, it doesn't have to be, you don't have to have crazy hair or tattoos or anything. You know, it can be anything at all. But just if you express yourself and you feel comfortable being yourself, many times that makes for a nicer, happier person.
Mm-hmm.
So when you go to these gigs and you see these people, and whether it's spikes or they have mohawks or anything like that, as I say, they tend to be the nicest people.
Mm-hmm. In other words,
Scott Simpson saying the Descendants have been around since 1977, over 40 years. Exactly. That's what I mean when I say they've been around forever.
Don't judge a book by its cover.
Very much so. And yeah, everybody's usually really friendly, even in the mosh pit. If someone gets hurt, they tend to stop to help the person.
Well, that's
which
right
is always
there.
quite funny to watch as well. Scott went in, my husband went in for one song.
Mm-hmm.
His favorite Rise Against song came on, and he did, the way I know he's going to be going in is he hands me his keys, his wallet, and his phone. This is how I know he's going into a pit. He goes, wife, huh! And I take him, and he jumped around, did it, came back out, and he says to me, I am not a young man anymore. It's like,
ooh,
yeah,
wow.
It's getting harder. Anyway, man, it was so nice to hear live music, music, and the energy of a crowd. In the same way that returning to movie theaters, for us, there is just, it's an energy.
Yeah.
You know,
yeah.
Why do we go see plays and musicals?
Mm-hmm.
Because sitting in an audience is just glorious. You know? Yes.
Were people watching them, or were they watching them on their phones?
I'll be honest with you. It was mostly watching.
Oh, well, that's encouraging.
Yeah, a number of us, I think you'd see phones go up to record a little bit because as they played your favorite song,
right.
You know, you recorded a little, and I was posting on Instagram a bit as the different bands were coming up. But no, for the most part, people had their phones down. Again, remember that I was in the pit,
right, which
is more movement.
Mm-hmm.
I was off to the side though. There was another pregnant lady actually, and me and this other pregnant lady were on the side. We stayed in the safe zone, no splash zone. We stayed over there, so nobody tried to like bump us or anything like that. But no, they say, I think that's the thing that we all enjoy so much. It's the good part of humanity is where you feel energy.
Mm-hmm.
And as I say, seeing a movie and you see it in a theater. Yes, I know there's a lot of bad theater experiences. I know that people talk. I'm one of those where if someone gets a phone out in my general vicinity, I get a little violent. But, you know.
You're not violent. You're reactive.
Sure. You can say that. I'm violent.
I just did.
Yeah, don't get me started on people doing things in the theater.
Okay.
Because I think that it's just really, one second. It is so disrespectful when you are talking loudly, putting feet on seats, looking at your phone, because honestly, it shows how little respect you have for everyone around you.
Mm-hmm. Not to mention the performer.
Well, no, I'm talking about like in a movie theater.
Oh, okay.
Oh no, at a gig is a separate
Yeah.
entity. When you are in a movie theater watching a movie and someone gets a phone out, to me, what that says is I don't care about anybody else here. Only I matter. And it makes me very angry. But yes, you had a very different weekend with a nice dinner party that did not include a mosh pit.
No.
And then
Just good company.
you watched a documentary, a new Charlie Chaplin documentary that I know you can't talk about.
Right.
But Mommy said you guys liked it.
Yeah.
He's going to be doing some Q&A for it.
I'm not supposed to be talking about that.
No, I'm just saying. That's all.
Yeah.
That's that.
Yeah.
I can say that.
Okay.
I can say that, can't I?
No.
Yeah. Yeah.
Nope.
Yeah.
Nope.
Yeah.
Nope.
The new Charlie Chaplin movie. You're
Nope.
going to
Nope.
be doing some stuff with it.
Nope.
It's exciting.
Nope.
Can't wait.
Nope. What I am doing this coming week
Yeah.
is returning to in-person teaching on the ground.
Yes.
Teaching my class in my 23rd year
Mm-hmm.
of doing this at University of Southern California,
USC.
and I'm looking forward to it. I'm excited about it, and
Yes.
I'm a little nervous too,
Mm-hmm.
because I haven't been standing in front of my class of 300 some students in a year and a half,
Yeah.
and it's so different and so much better doing it in person. And
Yeah.
I'm going to start the class, as I always do, by not only showing a vintage short, in this case an animated cartoon, but showing my old 16 millimeter print of this Max Fleischer cartoon,
Yep.
which I've had since I was 18 or 19 years old,
Yeah.
and which I think will be the first use of the 16 millimeter projector in 2
Since
years.
you were there, yeah. Since you were last in class.
I do show other shorts. I show a vintage short every week before our brand new feature film.
Yeah.
And so we go from lower tech to highest tech.
Yeah.
And but there's not a lot of action for the film projectors anymore.
No, but you put them to work. You always put them to work.
Yes, I do.
Hashtag.
Yes, I do.
Yes, always put them to work, which is great. The rules at USC is that if you're going to be on campus, you must be fully vaxxed.
Yep.
And because obviously his class is inside, they have to be wearing masks.
Mhm.
So yeah, it's a little scary, but
And I'm still functioning without full use of my left arm.
yes.
Or hand. Hand is working.
Yes.
But I'm in a sling. I'm not in a sling full time, but
Yeah.
because the doctor wants me to
To be safe, but yeah,
physical
just to be
therapist
careful
wants
with
me
it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Again, it's a little. I think it's all this unknown, So again, same thing for me, going to a gig and being terrified, just hoping that it was going to be okay, and then being there and having that experience and going, oh my God, this feels so good. And each band, of course, made a point of saying, thank you for being here, and I can't believe we're all together again.
Yeah.
So it was quite emotional.
Yeah.
They asked several of them asked at different points. They said, "Is this your first? Hey guys, is this your first gig since all of this happened?" And almost everybody was like, "Yes." So it was, it was emotional.
And then the following week, we'll be going to the Telluride Film Festival in Colorado, which with the news, the daily updates on the Delta variant and all of that, is a little nervous making. Everyone who's going will have been vaccinated. Everyone who's going will have just had, within 72 hours,
we all have to do those COVID
tests
tests before we go.
And so that I think all precautions, all reasonable precautions are being taken.
Yeah.
And we're going to have to be masked there, which is
no fun.
No, I'm getting around. It's not fun.
No. But I'm thrilled to be going.
Mm-hmm.
I'm so happy to be going.
Yeah.
And the full circleness of me having gone since I was you've been going for 40 something years.
Yep.
I started going as a little kid.
You were 2.5 years old.
Yeah. I started going as a little kid. And, a few years ago, I got to take my husband for the first time, which made me, again, very emotional. The idea of now I'm at Telluride with my husband. And then after that, and here I am going pregnant. And next year, Telluride, I will have a baby with me, which is insane.
And though we've talked about this before, an unforgettable milestone was when you were 10.
Yeah.
And you and Ken Burns' daughter, Lily, and Candice Bergen and Louis Malle's daughter,
Chloe.
The three of you sold lemonade outside one of the theaters for the benefit of the festival.
We raised money for the festival.
And then that night shared a hot tub
Yes.
at Ken's condo.
Because it was really cold. And we were giving out, selling all that lemonade. It's a memory that a lot of people to this day go, oh my God, I remember when the three of you were selling. Yes. Wild Child. That was also, when I was 10, was the first time you let me go to a movie by myself.
That's right.
In Telluride.
Because, it's a small town.
It's very small town, very safe.
Very friendly people.
Everybody knows everybody.
Right.
And I just had to walk in a straight line. Where we were staying at the time was on their sort of main street.
Mm-hmm.
We stayed in lots of different places there. And I wish someone was saying, what's the movie?
I know the
I don't
movie.
remember. What was it?
Dancing at Lunasa, which was
Is that what I went to by myself?
Yes,
Okay.
Meryl Streep.
Meryl Streep. No, I remember the film. I just didn't remember if that's what I saw. How funny that you did.
And you got to meet Meryl Streep.
Yes.
You have a picture of us together.
Yes. But yeah, that was, I got to walk by myself to a movie, which was a very big deal. So it was actually, it's good timing. So Jerry's saying, did you ever meet Peter O'Toole? We did. And one of the best experiences, we met him more than once, but the best experience we had was in Telluride with him. Part one, where my mom, I'm saying Mercy's just joined us. Part one of the funny was my mother losing her mind because she's in love with him with good reason.
He charmed every woman he met.
Oh my God. He kissed me on the forehead and my mom came over and shoved me and said, if you're going to kiss my daughter, you should probably kiss me. Fair enough. And you have a fantastic picture of him.
Saturday morning, I hosted a 10 a.m. Tribute with an interview afterwards, after very good excerpts from his films. And then we went immediately to take what they call the class photo, the souvenir photo of all the guests. And when we got there, Bill Pence, then one of the founders of the festival, was just arriving by bicycle. And O'Toole looked and said, "Ooh, I'd like to try that." So he, very impromptu, got on Bill's bicycle. And I happened to have, days before cell phones, I happened to have my camera at the ready, and took what I think is a darn good picture.
It was
of Mr. O'Toole on bicycle.
Mind you, the rest of us can barely breathe in Telluride. It's the altitude is intense, and yet there's Peter O'Toole drinking and riding a bicycle while the rest of us faint.
Well, and his son was his Lorcan. Yeah, Lorcan was
Lorcan O'Toole. Yes,
his minder.
His companion.
His companion.
Yes,
and minder.
They were very funny together.
Yeah.
Very entertaining.
Yeah.
Peter, the way that the Q&A works with the chat is you just post stuff and we try to read everything. The other way, is I post earlier on Sunday morning and I'll say, what questions do you have for us? And you can leave comments there. And that's why I have my phone and I read through them. I
saw two that went by earlier.
Yeah, one about Little Rascals.
One about someone who remembers me from the Cabin Fever VHS tapes of the Little Rascals.
Yep, you are not alone.
Well, they sold 4 million cassettes. And this is in the early 90s. And they expected to sell 100,000.
7 of them.
And they sold 4 million. And by the way, when my wife, Alice, whom we called the closer, negotiated the deal with the video company, she tried to get me like a penny a cassette, just some little token, thing, never anticipating that it would sell that many. But they wouldn't do it. Darn. And the other person who spoke up here was
you need help? Someone mentioned they've been reading the book their whole lives, which is wonderful, and I thank you.
Which is always lovely.
Movie guide.
I'm very touched by that.
Yes.
Oh, and they said they missed the guide.
And we miss it too, honestly. We miss the guide as well.
I don't miss doing it. I miss having it.
Work.
I miss having an up-to-date, version of it.
Hi, I'm watching this from Disney's Grand Californian Hotel and Spa, the Disneyland Resort. Amazing.
Lucky you.
Very lucky you. One of the most beautiful hotels. made to look like something that Frank Lloyd Wright would have created.
In the prairie
And
style.
It's gorgeous.
Mhm.
It is a gorgeous hotel. In true Disney fashion, they knew what they were doing and they did it well.
Yep.
Yeah, someone else tests. So you know, we are on 4 different platforms. You can watch us in 4 places. We're on Instagram right now, Facebook, Twitter, and YouTube. And the videos do live on, but you can always watch them on YouTube because they're there forever.
Mhm.
And
Forever.
Forever and easiest to find. Do you know why they stopped releasing any more Looney Tunes / Merry Melodies / Max Fleischer's rare cartoons on DVD / Blu-ray?
Well, all the major studios are getting out of the physical media business.
Yeah.
It's over for them. It's not over for everybody, but for the big boys feel they can do their business easier and more profitably by streaming.
Yeah.
And you know, and also that's selling direct to the customer, so no wholesaler, you know, no in between middleman to take some of the profit away.
Yep.
But Warner Home Video is still in business,
And very much so.
and doing good things.
Yep.
And there are a lot of independents. Well, like the Criterion Collection, Flicker Alley, Milestone, Undercrank Productions.
Undercrank. And there's
and others.
Yeah, and this is true. Same of older films.
And Kino Lorber.
Kino Lorber is great. There's a lot. Frank Lloyd Wright was not an archaeologist. He was an architect. Yeah, he's a very, very famous architect. And we love seeing his stuff. And we've actually got to see it in different parts of the world, which is also very exciting. What are some of your favorites Joey Brown movies from his 1930s heyday at Warner Brothers?
Oh, gosh. I think you said a mouthful. And I think it's been a while. 6-Day Bicycle Rider. I have to look up my own notes.
Yeah, it's too many.
I wrote a chapter on him in my book, The Great Movie Comedians. And, but that's been a while since
It's been some years.
Reread that.
But you are a Joey Brown fan.
Yes. And of course, he's wonderful in Some Like It Hot.
Yes.
And he's a perfect Captain Andy in the 1951 Showboat. So he was an individual. When I wrote The Great Movie Comedians, I realized almost everybody I wrote about there was unique. They had their own look, their own style. You may not have liked it. When I went on the road to promote that, every local TV show I did, the host just before or just after our interview segment would lean over and say, "I never liked W.C. Fields," or "I never understood the Marx Brothers." There was always one. There was like an Achilles heel.
One that they just didn't like. That's so funny. No, it's here. If you move your foot to the outside bit, you won't kick it. There you go.
Oh, I could find a way to kick it.
No, you'll find a way to kick it, but maybe you'll kick it less, which would be exciting.
That would be lovely.
Steven is asking, do you have a favorite physical film reel that you own? I think you love all of your stuff.
Well,
Steven, you've seen the stacks upon stacks of film that live in this house.
Although, you know, at one point I started collecting, when I wrote the Great Movie Shorts, and it was hard to find a lot of them. It was hard to screen them. I made trips to the Library of Congress in Washington, D.C. to watch 35 millimeter copies on a flatbed viewer, what they called the Steenbeck. I called on my collector friends. But in some cases, the only way I could see one was to buy a print. It would be a dealer selling a print of a Pete Smith short or a Popular Science or Strange as It Seems. And it cost maybe $15. Well, that's an investment I had to make. So I accumulated a lot of shorts that were just examples of. It wasn't that I loved them. They were examples of. And when I started teaching my animation course at the New School for Social Research in 1973, the same thing happened. I was willing to rent
Mm-hmm.
the prints of the cartoons I want to screen, but they would send the wrong ones. So they a print would wear out of the band concert, and instead of changing the reel altogether, they would just splice in a Gandy Goose cartoon.
Something else.
Yeah, something else.
Something else.
So that's when I started buying prints of cartoons as examples of
Yes.
an early Terry Toon, a mid-season Terry Toon, a late Terry Toon. So I accumulated a lot of, didn't so much collect as accumulate.
Yes.
A lot of stuff.
Accumulate is an excellent word for what you have. But you know, again, I'll tell you, it's growing up, threading a projector, watching cartoons that way. Also, the sound of a projector.
The whir.
The whir of a projector. It's my favorite thing. I really love that.
I look forward to teaching your daughter soon to.
Oh yes.
Soon to appear on the scene.
The eventual baby.
I look forward to teaching her how to thread the projector.
Oh man. I mean, can they do that at birth?
No.
How long does it take before they can start threading a projector?
We may set a new world record.
We might. Yes, I actually, you know, when thinking about baby names, Thread, you know, people like unique baby names, so like Thread, maybe Projector. Projector Hadfield does Aperture. Oh, Aperture Hadfield has a nice ring to it as well. Greg Airbar saying, isn't the Pip from Pittsburgh one of your favorite reels? It sure is.
Yep.
And where does it live?
In our garage, in a freezer.
In a freezer.
Because it was starting to show faint signs of vinegar syndrome.
Yes.
And but it hadn't warped yet, and still ran through the projector. Last time I used it, a year and a half ago, or closer to 2 years ago, and I will be taking it out of the freezer to thaw.
To show to the kids.
This semester.
Hi, Lynn. How do you store those prints? Where do you store them, at home or somewhere else? Well, this is another one of these things that is sort of ongoing research for people who have home collections, but also for archivists. A lot of people you speak to say different things. You need a plastic reel. No, you want metal. They should be in a canister. They shouldn't be in a canister. They need air. They don't need air. Make sure it's a room that gets no humidity.
Everyone agrees on that.
No humidity is the way. And then once the vinegar syndrome does start to set in, what do you do? And there too, sometimes they'll say clean it. You know, there's special film cleaner you can use. And we've tried that before. Change it to a different reel. Move it away from the one it was in. Same thing, change the canister, all that.
If you don't know what we're talking about, this is when 16 millimeter films were created. Professional films are 35 millimeter, or for 100 years they were 35 millimeter. But when they wanted to create a home market, or what they call non-theatrical market, for schools, for libraries, for individuals to rent, they created 16 millimeter film, narrower, easier to store, easier to lift,
smaller,
and
lighter,
smaller, lighter.
Yeah.
But before they could do that, they had to find develop a compound for the film itself, because 35 millimeter films were on flammable nitrate stock, silver nitrate.
Not just flammable, real flammable.
Easily combustible.
Like, not just like things can light on fire. These not just can, but often do. And they go up like that. They're literally gone in seconds. If you light this film on fire, it's gone. Kodak
created safety film, so-called safety film. And the big advantage was it couldn't burn, it couldn't combust.
Or could it?
What they didn't know is that it could congeal.
Yeah.
If it wasn't treated properly at the original printing at the laboratory.
It becomes this gummy, gooey stuff.
And then starts to warp and
looks like Jello almost.
And smell to high heavens.
Yeah. It's not good.
No.
It's not a good thing.
And unfortunately, it doesn't matter how you've stored them.
Mm-hmm.
because whatever happened to them in their DNA, in each print, DNA,
when they were created.
And a lot of these 16 millimeter prints were created for television. So they're from the early 1950s. So something somebody did or didn't do 60 years ago
can affect what your film is doing now.
Can affect what you're about to take off your shelf or out of the can.
Which is incredible. Did you buy the films when the vinegar problem already started, or had that happened after you bought them?
After.
Yeah.
Long after.
So generally, they take a little while they take some time to turn. The other really tricky thing though with vinegar syndrome is that it's contagious. If you have one that is really not doing well, it can spread to other films.
Not unlike COVID.
Not only, vinegar syndrome, the original COVID.
Yeah.
You guys have asked some good questions, so I want to make sure I get to them. Do you have a couple favorite classic Disney cartoons? Mickey, Donald, the Symphonies, etc.
Well, my very favorite is the first color Mickey Mouse cartoon, which is the band concert.
So good.
From 1935.
So good.
Just a magnificent cartoon, which plays great with audiences.
Always
gets a great reaction from audiences. Yeah. And a family favorite is Clock Cleaners.
That's my favorite. Clock Cleaners is my favorite.
With Mickey, Donald, and Goofy.
Yes, and it's so funny, and it always makes me laugh.
1937.
And as soon as I hear the music, it makes me smile. So I always recommend Clock Cleaners.
And I'm sorry I can't just run and grab it, but you just purchased
I did.
A new
it's not new.
No.
It's recent. eBay is a dangerous place. You know how you can have alerts on for some stuff? I have alerts for Silly Symphonies because we do have a trash can. Hallmark did an ornament a few years ago.
A trash can of a Silly Symphony.
Yes. No, it's a trash can with Clock Cleaners on it.
Yeah.
Hallmark did an ornament a few years ago. We have that, which now sells for like $300. No, we bought it when it was new. But this thing that I found is another great little figure.
It's like vinyl.
Yeah. So I love that. We also, all the Goofy, some of the, you love the hockey homicide. Hockey homicide.
All those sports.
God, that's funny.
Cartoons from the 40s.
God, that's funny. A lot of them. It's also, of course, interesting to see how the characters develop. Mickey was not saccharine sweet, adorable for a while.
The original Mickey is kind of a mischievous.
Yeah, he's sassy.
Sassy, even rude.
Yeah, OG Mickey was sassy. Like he really was. And then, as I say, the characters sort of changed and grew, and that is really interesting to watch that progression. Someone from Australia has written to us here. Hold on, please. Good morning from Sydney, Australia. Week 9 of a lockdown. God bless you. These talks are a highlight of my week. Thank you. Question for Leonard. What's your favorite pre-code film?
Ooh, it would be a tie between Employee's Entrance with the great Warren William and an MGM film that's pretending to be a Warner Brothers film called Skyscraper Souls, which I had the pleasure of introducing on TCM a couple of years ago. And with Warren William, the poster boy for pre-code movies.
That's right.
In fact, Annette Insdorf, whom we know primarily from
Telluride
annual hellos in Telluride,
Annette
sent me an email, said, where can I get a copy of Skyscraper Souls that just knocked her and her husband out? Yeah.
I love that. Greetings from Germany. Hello from Germany. Isn't it amazing what the internet can do?
Yeah.
Mind-blowing. Truly mind-blowing. Pre-code is another really fascinating conversation. And if that's something that interests you guys, we're happy to dive into it another time. It blows my mind. Just all the different changes that have happened in film. And if you're unaware of them, even more interesting to see how some directors got away with certain things, how innuendo became something more significant because you couldn't show something, you could just sort of suggest, which I love. Always makes me laugh. Yes, very, very enjoyable to me. Would you happen to know how the screenplay format developed over time? Did anyone actually coin the term fade in?
Someone had to.
So yeah, someone did it.
I don't know when or how that took place. It's a very good question, but it's very hard tramping through movie history or traipsing through movie history. You'll find that every time somebody says, well, this is the first use of the close-up, or this is the first use of a fade in or fade out or dissolve, you're always on thin ice because someone else is going to find an earlier example.
Yeah. It's hard to, some things obviously are easy to place, and other things just gets complicated.
Yeah.
So I don't know.
There are books. I have some books from the teens on how to write screenplays or photoplays, as they call them then. Wow.
Yeah.
I mean, there was interest right away, and one of the avenues of interest was, how can I sell a screenplay to the movies?
Oh my. Well, Thomas is saying, hello, Maltins. When will Song of the South be released on DVD? I love this movie. Thanks from Brazil. My friend, the best thing you can do is go online. People sell copies of it, I should say. I really believe that this is one of those things that, because, talk about forbidden fruit, right? All you have to do is say, you can't have this. And everybody goes, well, now I want it. Now I want to have it. What do you mean I can't have it? I want it though. And because they've made it this thing, people don't even know why they can't watch it. They hear, they may hear it's racist, it has this, that, the other thing. It's really not that bad. I mean, especially compared to other stuff.
Yeah.
It's,
it's not malicious.
No. First Disney film I ever saw, Song of the South, marvelous. Yes, Jake. This is the thing. It's very sweet. I think it's very sweet.
And Uncle Remus, the black figure, becomes sort of a surrogate, grown-up surrogate parent figure.
Yeah.
To Bobby Driscoll, whose parents are splitting up, and Uncle Remus is a heroic figure.
Yeah.
A lovely person, a person you would like to spend time with, as opposed to every other Caucasian in the movie are all a bunch of dolts and dunderheads.
Yeah. As I say, they've made it forbidden fruit. So I think the reality is, I don't think it'll ever be released.
Not officially.
Not officially, because it's just to say people have made it into something.
Yeah.
And look, as we always say, if something bothers you or is offensive to you, by all means, don't watch it. You don't have to. No one can force anything upon you. Sharon says, are you uncomfortable with any of the movie?
Well, frankly, no. At the end, well, I mean, one of the objections to Gone with the Wind is that it glorifies slavery.
Right.
That's not true of Song of the South, which is an antebellum picture, although it's vague. Obviously, there is no war going on. The Civil War is not taking place, but it's vague about is it pre or post Civil War.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's post Civil War. And some people would also say that it preserves the illusion of the house slave, like played here by Hattie McDaniel,
right,
being treated better and being sort of part of the extended family. And I listen, some people find that gravely offensive, and I understand. And I would certainly not want to promote in any way, these misconceptions of something that was a cruel institution and that left a legacy that is still being felt today. So that's my caveat there. I'm not saying any of that. But these were based on stories by Joel Chandler Harris, who, a writer, newspaper man, who gathered them they were from the storytelling tradition of the South and of blacks in the South, and he notated them, he collected them, and put them in print and passed them along to future generations.
Yeah. Look, we're very much of the school that erasing history is never a good idea, and it's better to let people have their own opinions. And as I say, it's okay if something does offend you or you don't like it or it upsets you, to not watch it. I've talked about before that I find Step and Fetchit characters in some films too much for me. And if you don't know who that is, that's another longer conversation. But there's certain characters that can affect you. We were watching an old movie, and a Step and Fetchit character was there, and I said, this is upsetting me too much, and I can't watch it. So I stopped. My feeling was not, though, well, now we have to take this movie and pretend it never existed.
Yeah.
It's more so a reminder that this is not something you ever want to happen again.
Yeah. I had the great pleasure just a few years ago of getting to write about Song of the South in some detail for the oversized Taschen book, the Walt Disney Archives.
Yeah.
And I wrote the chapters on Song of the South and So Dear to My Heart, which is the next live action animation film that Walt did.
Our friend Ryan is saying he wishes that you could have done one of your treasures, a Walt Disney treasure, Song of the South. And yes, exactly. That's what you would have hoped for, is that there could have been something that would have, again, explained, but with respect, and acknowledged what someone, could be bothered by. But again, not erase it, because erasing is foolish, I think.
Yeah. Unproductive. To put it mildly.
But you wrote this.
Oh yes,
book.
and which had to be vetted by the Disney folks.
Yeah, big time vetted.
And I built up some trust with them because of my original book, the Disney films from the 70s, and from my introductions to all the Walt Disney treasures and the evenings I did on Turner Classic Movies.
Mm-hmm.
So that gave me an in, a bit of a wedge to get in there and say what had to be said, but also express my fondness for the film and tell a little of its backstory.
Yeah, it's again, what I would always say is watch something for yourself. Mm-hmm. That's the only thing you can do. Watch it for yourself. If you discover that it is either, as I say, upsetting or not something that makes you uncomfortable, by all means, don't put yourself through it. Don't suffer. And again, you're also allowed to talk about it. You're also allowed to voice your opinions and feel however you feel.
Yeah.
I just would never want to say to someone, you can't. You can't see this. And it's true. I mean, the big thing, of course, is watching stuff that you haven't seen in a long time. There was a cartoon that we were watching that was a lot of fun, and then all of a sudden it had these, again, cartoon young black boys doing these tricks in a pool with people throwing money at them, and we both went, "Oh crap!" Like this is
with the
stereotype,
the
sort of the Al
lips,
Jolson face, and forgot that it was in there and saw it and went, "Oh crap!"
Yeah,
because again, that's that, and it is upsetting. It is upsetting to see. You look at it and you go, "Oh my God, I can't believe." But again, isn't it better to acknowledge it?
Yeah.
And sort of go, well, this is
terrible. Or maybe not show this one as often.
Yeah, or maybe not share that short with other people. Exactly.
He who fights and runs away
lives to fight another day.
Right.
Jonathan, who always asks you lots of questions about animation, says, have you ever watched Popeye cartoons? Of course.
Of course, and I show them to my class. I love Popeye. Love Popeye.
Yeah.
Especially the 1930s cartoons, which are the peak of Popeye-dom.
Popeye-dom. We quote, there are several Popeye things we quote on a fairly regular basis. One of them to do with burgers.
Yes, I would gladly pay you Tuesday for a hamburger today. Wimpy. Wellington J. Wimpy.
Wellington, obviously.
Yeah.
I love Popeye. I enjoy Popeye very
Someone
very
just
much.
asked if I ever met Hitchcock. Regretfully, no.
I wish.
No. I was living on the other coast, and by the time I got out here, he may still have been alive, but not easily accessible. We just lost Patricia Hitchcock
His
O'Connell, his daughter, who was pleased to serve as keeper of the flame for much of her life, and was just great. She came to my class when I screened Strangers on a Train, in which she has a terrific part, and her daughter Mary Stone took my class.
Generations.
Yes.
Generations. I love it. Victoria says, "Do you ever get tired of people asking who Jesse is?" No, we're used to it. It's fine.
She's my daughter.
I'm the daughter. That's the father.
Yeah.
It's all right. Is it weird when people ask if he's my husband? Yeah. That's pretty weird. It's pretty weird.
Both ways.
Both ways. Yeah.
We both find it
as
weird.
My dad likes to say, it insults both of us. But it's all right. I'm okay with it. What do you think? What do you think of Jennifer Hudson's performance in Respect? Haven't seen it
yet.
My dad, because he has been in the hospital and recovering. Again, if you did not know, my dad had a shoulder replacement surgery. He hasn't. Someone earlier asked about Stillwater. Haven't been able to see it yet.
No.
Because more and more films are now only in theaters.
Like Stillwater.
Which is great.
And Free Guy, which I would like to see.
I think Scott and I are going to go see that tomorrow. But yeah. So he hasn't been able to catch up with a lot over the last couple of weeks, just because this has all been going on for almost a month already.
Yeah.
All of the craziness of this. The last movie I saw in a theater was Pig, the Nicolas Cage film, which I have to say does stay with you.
Huh. He's got another one opening.
Yeah, he does. Never stops
Within a
working.
month, yeah.
Nicolas Cage, that's why I love you.
That's one of the reasons.
Well, I love Nicolas Cage for so many reasons. Thanks for recommending Odd Man Out. I thought it was a masterpiece.
Oh, thank you. I'm glad you think so too. Someone is showing it at the American Cinematheque. Contemporary filmmaker. I forget who is that's introducing it, but I was happy to see that they chose it. If I can think of who.
Yes.
Well, sorry about that.
Someone just asked, did you ever meet Clayton Moore? Yeah.
Yes, indeed. We
knew so many of the cowboys and cowgirls, and it was glorious.
And it was I never took for granted any moment spent with Clayton Moore. He was my Lone Ranger. I didn't listen to the radio show where Brace Beamer was the definitive Lone Ranger. But I sure watched that TV show growing up, and I introduced her to it when she was a little girl.
Loved it.
And I didn't get to meet Jay Silverheels. He'd already passed on by the time I moved out here. But Clayton Moore, we got to know pretty well. And I played matchmaker for Clayton. Clayton's daughter wanted him to write a book about his life and career. And I played matchmaker and set them up with my old friend Frank Thompson, who did a great job of drawing out Clayton's stories and putting them into prose. And that's a fun book to read.
Yeah, oh man, all of them. I have to say, all of the cowboys were really, and cowgirls, because we knew Dale Evans. God, I miss them. They were just something else. They really, really were. And it still brings me great joy that I was alive to meet a number of them and spend some time with them. No matter what he's in, Nicolas Cage is always interesting. Love him. That's the thing. I have great respect for people who just like working and they like doing different projects and they don't really care if they are acclaimed or not. Though my favorite interview with Nicolas Cage for this film Pig was he said he wanted to remind people he could really act. And he's very good. It's a strange film, but he's very, very good in it.
Nick Cage wrote an appreciation of Jerry Lewis as part of the reprint edition of Jerry's book, The Total Filmmaker, now 50 years old.
Yes. Just
out again in a nice quality paperback copy from Michael Weezy Productions. And I wrote the official foreword, and Nick Cage and Randall Kleiser, the director of Grease, who took Jerry Lewis's course at USC, and Caleb Deschanel, another student of his. They all wrote wonderful little essays for the beginning of the book.
Which, I love. As a professional caricature artist and an animation buff, I especially enjoy the Golden Age shorts with then current celebs. My two faves are Hollywood Steps Out and Mother Goose Goes Hollywood. Are they your favorites, or would you recommend some others?
Well, those are my favorites.
They're so good.
I would add to that list Mickey's Gala Premiere, which is earlier, 1932 or 33, which has people that they didn't care, people of that period, early 30s. They sort of passed by later on. The Woods Are Full of Cuckoos, Warner Brothers cartoon, has some great caricatures in it.
We have a number of cells from Mother Goose Goes Hollywood in the house. And they just, there too, we quote it all the time. I'm Little Bo Peep and I've lost my shape, rally I have. There's so many things that we quote from that. It's so, so good. And again, if you don't know what we're talking about, look up Mother Goose Goes Hollywood. So funny. So
Unfortunately,
good.
the official version is now heavily cut.
Yeah.
So the only way you can see a complete version is on my Walt Disney Treasures Silly Symphonies DVD set.
Yeah. A few people are asking how my mom is doing as we are both going through such craziness. She's all right. She really is. She's a trooper. We're making sure my husband is very sweet and he helps a lot. And he delivered mommy a coffee and a donut this morning because he's a good man. So we're all okay. We really are all okay.
Yeah.
I will tell you the most exciting thing to me happening in this house right now is we've told you that this one has a new book coming out in October. Right now, he is recording the audio for the audiobook. Which
I've never done before.
And that has been a blast. And again, very funny. He was trying to record in my mom's closet. You're trying to find a quiet space, right? And then you have to make sure
dead quiet.
Dead quiet, and then you have to make sure there's no echo. All of that. Started in a closet, which didn't work out, and now he's in another room in the house. And my husband has put up blankets to dull the noise. And we've got a little speaker thing. And in talking to the guys, the company that will be releasing it, he said, "Yeah, that's how most people do it. They're either in a closet or their small room." I'd love it, But yeah, I'm really excited for you guys to read the book and to hear him talk about that because, it's great.
I recorded 2 more chapters yesterday.
Good.
And I had to stop because my voice was getting a little parched.
Sure.
And I hadn't brought up an apple.
There are several tricks.
One of them I'd heard years ago.
Apple.
A crisp apple will I don't know, something that does to the saliva
Basically, the little things you don't think about in recording are the little noises, when your tongue snaps and stuff it's all these little sounds you don't think about that there are lots of ways to get around. And that's very, very useful. Very, very useful for people.
Can I do a little show and tell?
Yeah, of course you can.
I'm
just pulling up here. Let's see.
Well, it's no news that.
Let me just say, Ryan is saying the 92nd anniversary of the very first Silly Symphony, the Skeleton Dance, is today.
Oh, okay.
92 years.
Great.
This made me think of J.B. Kaufman's book about the series. I'm interested to know if you remember when you first met him and if you would know how he's doing through the pandemic.
They're asking about
J.B. Kaufman.
J.B. Kaufman. I just had an email from J.B. the other day.
There you
go. J.B. is doing fine. He's, as far as I know, he's hale and hearty and hard at work on the next book or monograph in his never-ending series. He is a meticulous researcher and a true devotee. And we're lucky he's able to do what he does because it brings gifts, rewards to all of us.
And as for the Skeleton Dance, it lives on.
Great.
Happily.
Just great.
And that makes me happy. Hello, Roger in Luxembourg. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you. Well, it's no secret that movie magazines are beautiful and that they often have outstanding portraits of the stars by great cover artists like Earl Christie. Who was did this one? Yeah, Earl Christie. But you might not think to look for an old radio fan magazine. This great portrait of Fred Astaire was not on a movie magazine. It's on a radio fan magazine from 1938,
the back,
I
this
think.
ad on the back. Love it. That is a great. Wow.
And here's one with Cary Grant visiting Ed Gardner on Archie's Tavern.
Archie's Tavern.
Do it.
Where the elite meet to eat.
Archie the manager speaking.
Duffy ain't home.
Duffy ain't here.
Duffy ain't here.
And
Go on, do it the full way. You can do it.
Hello, Duffy's Tavern, where the elite meet to eat. Archie the manager speaking. Duffy ain't here.
Oh, hello, Duffy.
And this one, this gorgeous portrait.
Oh, wow.
Of people sometimes forget that Sterling Hayden, who was such a provocative presence in 50s movies like Kubrick's The Killing and John Huston's Asphalt Jungle, was actually, in his earlier days, a hunk.
Yes.
A hunk who married, in real life, the exquisite Madeline Carroll. There is a gorgeous couple.
Mm-hmm.
But it's not on. It's on Movie Radio Guide. That's merger of two magazines, I think. And finally, I mean, there's other kinds of radio stuff, collectibles. Where
Ben is saying, weird. I never think of Astaire as a radio star.
Well,
yeah.
Well, he was.
I don't know, but it's true. I don't either. That's not one of the first things I would think of.
This is a ticket. I don't know if I've shown this one before. I may have shown this once before.
It says Columbia Broadcasting System, Lux Radio Theater, 1615 North Vine, Hollywood, November 5th, 1945. James Stewart, Joan Blondell in Destry Rides Again. Children under 12 will not be admitted. Monday, 6 to 7 p.m. Doors close at 5:55 p.m. CBS. And on the back, it says this ticket cannot be sold. So
these tickets were free, but highly coveted.
Mm-hmm.
And Lux Radio Theater was one of the most popular shows on the air, and was hosted for 10 years by Cecil B. DeMille, 10 or 11 years by Cecil B. DeMille. And I think by 1945 he had departed. But they tried to get the original stars of the movie to recreate their roles for these hour-long adaptations. In this case, they got half. They got Jimmy Stewart, but Joan Blondell filled in for Marlene Dietrich. And I'm sure they did a good job.
Yes, he does. Rachel's saying you have some really cool stuff. He really does.
Yeah, I love it.
Yeah.
I love it all.
That's the thing is it's not, collecting is fun, but I find with our friends, the most exciting thing to do is share. Our friends do love collecting, but what they really love doing is sharing.
Yes.
And
Alice and I never bought for investment.
No. We
never bought it thinking, oh, this would be worth a lot of money.
Yeah.
We just bought what we liked.
Yeah. And you still do.
And we still do it that way. Do. When we allow ourselves.
When you let yourself buy something. Tell them what you just got. What did you just win that you've been wanting for how many years?
A long time.
How many years? 40, 50?
No, not that long.
You sure?
I didn't know it existed.
Okay.
Until the era of eBay, which was America's garage sale, I didn't know about the fact that they did the company called Party Mask, hyphenated, Party Mask, made paper masks of movie stars, and as well as comic strip characters and animated cartoon characters. So I started collecting them, and then I found out that they did for a while just the eyes and nose.
Really trippy looking.
Yeah, and I think we've shown some of them, but we'll do it again.
Yeah,
there's one on the wall here. So Whoops, sorry, I did that. So, oh, that's right. It is decades ago. I forgot what story you were leading to. Yes.
Yes.
Okay. We were still living in New York in the 70s. Some of you may remember the 70s. There was and there still is, a memorabilia place on Long Island called Just Kids Nostalgia.
Yep.
And they had a regular series of auctions, and it was telephone auctions. This was before the internet. And annoyingly, the telephone auction would go on as long as the phone kept ringing. So it was like 1 a.m. and you're ready to go to sleep, but you're not sure that you've left a big enough bid to win the item.
Yep.
So Al Hirschfeld did the artwork for masks of several Hal Roach stars, Laurel and Hardy and Charlie Chase.
Yep.
I got the Stan Laurel, and I think I only paid $15 to $20 for it. Mm-hmm. And it's on our wall here.
Mm-hmm.
And the Charlie Chase had no other bidders. No other bidders. So I went to sleep believing I had won the Charlie Chase, but I hadn't.
He had not.
Somebody called later on with a higher bid. And I've been looking for that now 40 some years.
See, I knew it was 40 something years.
I know why I didn't connect the dots.
Yeah.
And it turned up on eBay the other day.
And he got it.
And I bought it. I paid more than I would have back then.
That's right.
But the quest has now come to an end. Satisfying conclusion.
Yes. There's, again, all collectors say the same thing, which is that what they always think about is the thing that got away.
Yep.
To the day you die, it's the thing that got away. Now, here's a question, probably the last one we'll be able to answer today, that talk about a Sophie's Choice situation. Do you have a favorite member of the Three Stooges and or the Marx Brothers?
Curly. Easy one.
There you go. Easy
choice for the Stooges. I just listened to Billy West on Gilbert Gottfried's it was a rerun. His Larry Fine imitation just sends me into gales of laughter. So funny. Marx Brothers, Groucho.
You do. Now, I'm a Harpo person. Jason's asking what you didn't get. He just told this whole story. It's these sort of mask type things that came out many years ago. And he always wanted this one, but didn't get it and finally did. So whenever it comes, we will share it. The
ones that are easiest to find on eBay are the ones that they did for The Wizard of Oz and for Snow White and Pinocchio.
Mm-hmm.
And those are fairly common and not expensive.
Yeah. But of course, the ones you want, those are the ones you can't find.
Yes.
But yeah, I think that most young people would probably connect to Harpo as I did.
Yes.
Because he's funny.
And he's
mischievous.
And his silence means he's a pantomime character.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the universal language. You don't have to be able to read or understand the joke.
Yeah.
It's, it's all visual.
But as I say, he's also just, he's funny. He's the one that sort of does ridiculous things.
He's endearing.
Yes.
Which apparently he was in real life.
Yes.
Too.
Now, as I got older, I thoroughly enjoyed Chico because I started to actually get the jokes. And then even older than that, I started to understand Groucho's humor. Mm-hmm. So now I don't know that I'd be able to pick one. I can tell you that none of the Stooges is my answer. Not a single one. Shemp. Shemp. If I had to pick one, it would be Shemp. Only because his name was Shemp and he deserved better. You have to ask yourself, how much does your family hate you?
No, his actual name
I know it's not his real name. You think I thought that they named him Shemp? Fine. What kind of a person would do such? No. Though I will always say that nicknames back in the day, so rappers today have nothing on the old names. Personal favorite, of course, being Thief of Bad Gags, which was Milton Berle's nickname. Jamie is saying Shemp is Drew Friedman's fave.
Yes.
Yeah, well,
Well, Drew has immortalized him
Yes.
in his work, in his artwork.
Which I understand. Shemp is amusing, I think, just as that there is a character named Shemp. And everyone goes, really? Yeah, there was a guy called Shemp. Why, God, why? Okay, this will be the last question is, who labeled you the king of 2.5 stars? I personally use the 4-star system as introduced to me by Mr. Maltin.
I never knew I was called the king of 2.5 stars.
Though I have been called that many, many times. They would say that to me. They go, your dad gives everything 2.5 stars. It's 2.5 stars, Maltin. I think it was just a joke. It still is a joke. Makes us laugh.
Well, that's because, as we've often said, most movies are not great
or terrible.
Or not terrible. They're somewhere in between.
Yes.
And when there's a film that has good ingredients, but weaknesses as well, I think 2.5 out of 4 is a fair rating.
Yeah. It means it's all right.
Yeah.
You know, generally a 2.5 says you won't hate yourself for watching it.
Yep.
But you're not necessarily going to come away from it going, I'm so glad I saw that movie. But you know, this is the thing. It is so hard. Same thing when you did the show and it was Hot or Not.
Yeah.
It's really hard to rate movies that way.
Yeah.
It's hard to give movies numbers because the reality is sometimes they're all right. Sometimes they're not. Oh yeah, Scott Simpson saying Samuel Horowitz was his real name. I know.
Yes.
I know that their last name's not fine. And I don't know that Shemp is not his real name. I know all of that. Believe me, I wish I didn't know as much as I do about the Stooges. I wish I knew less. But yeah, it's just one of those things. Again, most of what you showed me growing up, I loved. There's very little I don't love. The Stooges are right there. Right now, we talked about this. Do you know what it is? It's for a lot of women, they're too mean. A lot of us find that it's too mean. Whereas a lot of the other groups were sort of more, I don't know, lovable. Like Stan and Ollie are lovable, especially Stan. Very lovable characters. But yeah, that's what I can say.
Yeah.
But you will be a Stooge fan till the day you die.
Guilty as charged.
Yep. And you've been to the Stoogeum. That's
right, in Philadelphia.
All of that, and you love it, which I understand. I respect your love of it.
I respect your respect.
Thank you.
When we mentioned Little Rascals before, I forgot to plug the 2nd volume of the new, recently and beautifully restored films from 1930-31 season, just out, Little Rascals, from Classic Flicks, F-L-I-X. Classic F-L-I-X.
Classic Flicks.
Except no substitutes.
That's right. I will have you know, both Nell Minow and Lynn both agree that they don't get the Stooges either. Thank you, my friends. Thank you. But yeah, I did have my dad write up a little piece about if you were with us last week, we talked about Lucille Ball doing these great interviews. So if you go to leonardmaltin.com, you can read that. And then that'll sort of tell you where to begin to look as they release more. It's
about her radio series, Let's Talk to Lucy.
Yeah.
In 1964 and 65, 240 episodes.
And you've had a blast listening to the ones that you have heard so far. Excuse me.
Dennis Weir has listened to a whole bunch.
I'm sure.
Much more than I have.
I'm sure. Yeah, lots of really, really good stuff. So I recommend checking that out. We will be back next week. And another Sunday will come. I don't know where the time is going, my friends, but it's happening. I don't know how we're at the end of August already, or almost at the end of August.
And you at 7 months.
I don't know how the hell I ended up 7 months pregnant, but here we are. Someone else said that a good name for the baby would be Silver Nitrate. I go with that. Silver Nitrate Hadfield. I like it. My married name is Hatfield. Yeah, Silver Nitrate Hadfield. Maybe. You know. It could work. We'll see. Anyway, yes. So we'll be back next week, next Sunday again. You can always send us questions and tweet at us, or Facebook comments, all that kind of stuff. Everybody be safe. Please take good care of yourself and take care of everybody else around you too. And we'll see you then.